Okay, we are going to look at the distributive property. So there's a few different ways to solve these problems. I'll show you two different ways, and then you get to decide which one you would like to use. So first we're going to just work on what the models of these equations might look like. I'm going to show you two different ones. One's familiar because it's our friend Ned, and one is using algebra tiles. So this first one, this means 2 times n plus 1 equals 6. So this is me putting it into words. So we had a Ned doll plus 1 pound, then we cloned it. So we cloned it together. Now it weighs 6 pounds. So to solve it, what we would need to do is we would need to take the weights off of both sides. So if we took off 2 pounds off of that side, we would have to take 2 pounds off of that side, and we'd be left with 4 over here. So now we would have, because I'm going to end up drawing this, which I think is going to be comical. So let's just, we started with the 2n plus 1 equals 6. So when we actually modeled it, what was on this side would look a lot like when you were solving your two-step equations. You have 2 Neds plus 2 pounds, and that was equal to 6. Then we took the 2 pounds off of each side. I was left with just 2 Neds and 4 pounds on that side. And then I need to separate them because I only want the weight of 1 Ned doll. So if I divide that side by 2, I have to divide this side by 2. And I get the Ned doll is equal to 2 pounds. So let's take a look at what that looks like with algebra tiles. So I'm using X tiles here. So this means that I have 4 groups of x plus 6, and that's going to equal 26. So up here, this is x plus 6. If you see any white tiles, those would imply negative values. So colored in is positive, and white tiles or empty tiles would be considered negative. So this is x plus 6, x plus 6, x plus 6, x plus 6. So we have 4 groups of x plus 6, and that all equals 26. So if we count how much is actually on the left-hand side of this equation, I have 4 x's, and I have 4 groups of 6, so I have 24 tiles on that side, and it is equal to 26. So the first thing that I would do is I would take off all 24 of those tiles off of both sides. So I'd take 24 tiles off of both sides. And what I'd be left with is just the 4 x's, and I would be left with 2 red guys. And then I would split my x's into 4 equal groups, subdivision, and I'd do that to my 2 tiles also. And what you'll end up seeing is that your x is going to be equivalent to half of one of those red tiles. So we can do the distributive property. So what we do is we multiply to get rid of the brackets. So we have 2g plus 4 equals negative 8. So here we are going to multiply the 2 into both of those terms. So we get 2g's, and we get 8 red tiles. And then we would solve like normal by working backwards. So then we would take that 2g plus 8 and we would start with any addition or subtraction. So we have to get this to 0 out. So we're left with our 2g and we have negative 16 divide by 2. So your g is worth negative 8. Now, I did say that there were 2 ways to do this, so I'm just going to quickly show you another method because knowledge is power. So your other method is if you start with your 2g plus 4 equals negative 8, your very first step could be to divide both sides by this 2 out front. So 2 divided by 2 leaves us with one group of this g plus 4. And now it would be equal to negative 4. Then I would minus my 4 from both sides, be left with g equals negative 8. So this is an alternate way to solve the same. So I'm going to call this method 2. Okay, and then distributive property, we're going to multiply that negative 2 in. We're going to end up with 2 negative x's and a positive 6. And then we would work backwards. Minus 6 from both sides. We'd end up with a positive 6. Divide by negative 2. We end up with a positive x is equal to negative 3. And then let's try that method 2 way. Negative 2 bracketed x minus 3. So the very first thing I'm going to do is divide by negative 2. So positive 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. And that would be equal to one group of x minus 3. Then I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So x is equal to negative 3. So to check your work, you would put it back into this original. So we would have, I'm just going to write check. We would have 12 equals negative 2 times negative 3 minus 3. So negative 2 times negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. And a negative times a negative is a positive 12. So this is verified.